This is episode number 199. Today, we're featuring international superstar Pablo Rubén.
This is the PleinAir Podcast with Eric Rhoads, publisher and founder of PleinAir Magazine. In the PleinAir Podcast, we cover the world of outdoor painting. Called PleinAir, the French coined the term, which means open air or outdoors. The French pronounce it plein air. Others say plein air. No matter how you say it, there is a huge movement of artists around the world who are going outdoors to paint. And this show is about that movement. Now, here's your host, author, publisher, and painter, Eric Rhoads.
Thank you, Jim Kipping, and welcome to the PleinAir Podcast, and Merry Christmas, everybody. I kind of feel like I should have some Christmas music. Have yourself a merry little... probably shouldn't even go there. Anyway, around here in Austin, Texas, the weather's been pretty mild, and I'm getting out and doing a little bit more painting than normal, mostly because everybody's kind of staying inside, and I'm fortunate to live in an area that's kind of rural, and I can even paint in the backyard, quite frankly, because there's a 40-acre farm behind me, so it's nice to be able to get some scenery and some cows and so on. Past couple of weeks, I've been working on edges. I've decided to concentrate on edges and get better at edges, and I've been playing with some new toys like oil sticks, which has been kind of fun. Sennelier makes some, and it's been kind of cool to try something new. I'm also really excited about watercolor. I've decided to devote some time during Christmas break to see how far I can push myself and get on watercolor and gouache, because I'm hosting the Worldwide Watercolor Live event coming up in January, and it's going to be massive with attendees from all over the world, and I want to know what I'm doing because I want to get better at it. The reason I'm working on watercolor and gouache is because I can't always take my backpack with me with my oils and my easel and everything. And so sometimes I want something I could just throw in my carry-on bag and just have something with me so I can paint at night in the hotel room on business trips and things like that. So anyway, I'm really excited to learn about watercolor on Watercolor Live, which is a 4-day virtual online conference, watercolorlive.com. Speaking of learning, we have the world's largest in-person gathering of artists at the PleinAir Convention this May in the Denver area. We expect to be able to hold it, and the deadline for the first price increase is Valentine's Day, the 14th of February. And so if you want to capture this early bird price, go ahead and book it now. There's a 100% money-back guarantee in case the virus gets in the way of us being able to do it. Well, hopefully we'll have things under control by then, but you never know, right? Of course, it would be a great Christmas gift, just saying. Sometimes we need Christmas gifts for ourselves or ideas for others. Go to pleinairconvention.com. At the convention, we're going to be awarding the annual PleinAir Salon competition winners. And to win the $30,000 in cash prizes or the grand prize of $15K and the cover of PleinAir Magazine, of course, you need to enter. There are 19 different categories, including still life and landscape and studio painting, students, seniors, etc. And they're not all PleinAir categories. So you can enter, but do it before December 31st at pleinairsalon.com. And now I hope you're doing some painting, even if it's in an area where it's cold and snowing. Now, our friends in New Zealand and Australia, it's summertime over there, are about to be, and so it's not a problem for you. Heat might be your problem. But I love painting in the snow. I didn't used to like it, but I've kind of changed my attitude about it, and I have so much fun. I did a painting at Fall Color Week in New Hampshire. We had one day, we went up to the mountain where it was snowing, and I did this beautiful, beautiful scene in the snow of a train station. Very old, kind of early 19th century train station, and it was covered in snow. And of course, the snow was hitting my palette, and thank goodness I was doing oils in that case instead of watercolor, because it was kind of running down and then freezing. It was weird. But anyway, in the current issue of PleinAir Magazine, we're featuring a portfolio of snowscape paintings. That's going to be kind of fun. Mine will not be in there. Also, you can visit our website, outdoorpainter.com, to read a new article by Mark Fellman on why he starts in the field when he starts his studio works. He's been recently featured in the newsletter PleinAir Today. Coming up after the interview, I'm going to be answering your art marketing questions, but now we have an interview with an international superstar watercolor artist, and you are going to learn a lot about the plein air movement in Spain, which is actually fairly robust, surprisingly. So let's get right to our interview with Pablo Rubén. Pablo Rubén, welcome to the PleinAir Podcast.
Hello, Eric. How are you?
I am well. Welcome. So tell everybody where you live.
I live in Griñón, a small village in the south of Madrid, the region of Madrid, the capital of Spain.
Ah, wonderful. Well, you're a plein air painter, and we met when you were on my daily 12 noon show, and I was very impressed with your painting and your plein air work and some of your stories of plein air, so I thought it would be fun to have you on the podcast.
Thank you very much.
So I know that I'm trying to speak a little bit slowly because I know that we have a little language barrier between us.
Okay, thank you for your attention.
So you have developed a reputation throughout the world as one of the top watercolor artists, but also one of the top plein air painters. And tell me how that all began. When did you first start exploring art?
I think I have never stopped of painting or being related with art. I remember since I was a child, I joined in drawing contests. I think I was about 8-10 years old, and I used it to win that contest. So I think all my life I have been painting, drawing, and connected with the art world, with the art academies, and then when I grew. When I was 18 years old, I started to join in plein air contest.
So, you were telling me that you have a very active plein air community in Spain. There's a lot of plein air competitions. Is that correct?
Yes, it's correct. I think Spain is the world of the country of the world in which there are most plein air competition. I think we can have about 300 plein air competition in a year. I think it's because of the weather, because most of the year we have very sunny days without rain and without very cold days. And the oldest contest in Spain is about 60 years old.
And when you say competitions, are these live events where people are getting together and painting plein air?
Excuse me, repeat please the question.
Are these events that you attend in person where groups get together and paint to compete?
No, I always compete individually. Depending of the region of Spain, I travel to join in the contest. I meet different people and different mates.
Right.
So not that all the time we are not in a group. We are completely individual.
Yes. So what I meant is these are people getting together for these competitions. They're not online. They're actually painting in a in-person place, outdoors.
Yes. Always, yes.
Yes.
Always is outdoor, and every weekend the competition is in a different city or in a different village.
And is there an organization that puts these events on? Are they like America?
No.
Are they put together by different cities or different promoters?
No. Here in Spain, each municipality organizes his own contest. Sometimes there are private enterprises. Sometimes municipalities, sometimes some contests are organized by the government. but each one is completely different and not related with the other contest.
Oh, fabulous. Well, I think it's wonderful that you have so many. How many plein air painters show up for these individual competitions typically?
It depends basically on the prices. If the contest has very high prices, about 100 or 200, even 200 painters. But usually in a standard contest with, for example, 3 prizes, we used to be about 30, 40 people.
And are these by invitation only, or do people just show up?
No, anybody can join. You don't need to be invited by the organization. Everything is free. You don't need to pay anything. You only need to know where is going to be the contest. It's the only thing you need to join the contest. For example, last weekend, I was here in Madrid in the Air Force Museum. And I saw in the webs, I saw in the news that there was going to be a contest, and I just went to the contest and joined it.
And when they have these competitions, are they also selling artwork to people who are watching the competitions? Do they put together a show and an exhibit afterwards, or is it just everybody shows up and competes for prizes?
No, it's just a competition. We only used to paint one work in the contest, and only after the jury has given the award, only the artist can sell their works to the people, to the public, to the town. But usually we only have one work. We don't have more works to sell to the public.
Here in the States, and a little bit in some other countries, we will have gatherings where an organization will put together a week of painting where they'll invite painters in. They'll paint in their community for a week, maybe 10 days, and then they'll have a weekend of shows of quick painting competitions, and they will have an exhibit where the artists can sell their works. And so there are no events like that in Spain?
No. There is no contest like that, because all the contests are very fast, and all the contests are only in one day.
I see.
Yes, only. We start the Saturday morning, and we have to finish Saturday afternoon, and very quickly the jury gives the award, and it completely finishes the contest. So we don't have this kind of organization or event.
Okay. Well, it sounds like there's opportunity for us to do something like that here, and there's opportunity for you to start some week-long plein air events in Spain. What kind of prize, if you win the first prize or the second prize, is it a financial prize, or is it simply just a trophy?
No, always there is an economic prize. Because I am professional, I only travel if there is a cash as award. Usually, the most important plein air contest here in Spain is in Burgos, organized by the Burgos Cathedral, and the first prize is 6,000 euros. But this is the top. This is the highest contest. But usually the prices are first prize 1,000 euros and third prize about 400 euros. This is the usual and the standard contest here in Spain.
And
but always with cash.
And why are there so many? These communities are doing these. Is it because it draws people to watch the competitions? It draws people to their communities?
Yes, I think the municipality organizes the contest because they want to have a lot of publicity of their own town, because then all the artists show the work in their social media. This is a way to make public some place, or to make publicity or some town. Also, it's very interesting for the people who live in the town, because they can see for one day many artists painting the streets, and I think it's the only purpose of the contest.
Yeah, sounds wonderful. Well, I think that's an interesting model that we could be adopting in the United States, in a lot of communities. How many plein air painters do you estimate that there are in Spain? Hundreds or thousands? Do you have?
No, not thousand. I think in the biggest contest about 200 or 300 maximum. No, we don't have so many.
And do most of these competitions draw the same people all the time?
Yes, all the time. Depending, because I am in the middle of Spain, I am at the same distance from the west, from the east, from the north, and from the south. And for me, it's very easy to reach any point of my country. But when I travel to the north, I met different people as when I travel to the south. Because the things, if you live in Andalusia, for example, it's very hard to make 1,000 kilometers to reach a plein air contest.
Yeah, that would be tough if you're driving. And
yes.
And are the artists using a variety of mediums? You're a watercolorist, but are there people doing oils and pastels and other mediums?
Yes, all kind of mediums. In the same contest, you can use whatever you want. You can use oil, acrylics, drawing, charcoal, watercolor. In the rules of the contest, usually the only thing is about the size of the board of the canvas, but not about the technique.
And I think it's fascinating. I like this. So you said this has been going on for 20 years?
Yes, wow. Since I was 18, 20 years old, yes.
Wonderful.
Yes, many kilometers, many days, and many travels. Yes.
Well, and from what I understand from my research is that you're winning a lot of these competitions, so it must be worth your time to drive all these distances to be able to get to these on Saturdays.
Yes. For example, next Saturday is going to be a contest in the region of Extremadura in Spain, and if I go to the contest, I will have to drive about 200 kilometers. I have to wake up very early, 2 hours driving, and then after the contest, come back to my home. So I have to spend many time, not only painting, but driving and going far away from my home.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a lot of work, but it also sounds like if you're winning a lot, then it's a pretty good way to make a decent living.
Yes. Yes, the 3 months of summer is my job. I am professional. My incomes are from the plein air contest. So because I used to win, I can have this kind of life, and I enjoy a lot anyway. It's a job, but I enjoy to travel, to know new places, and to paint plein air.
And are people from other countries welcome to enter these? If someone happened to be, if I happened to be in Spain, for instance, and I decided I'd go and participate in a competition, anybody's welcome?
Yes, of course. And usually, we in the north of Spain we have French artists, and if you go to the west of Spain, you can meet Portuguese artists. So all the contests are open to everybody. They are international. You don't need to have it.
And is there a particular website that everybody goes to find out about these?
Yes, there are two websites. One is deconcursos.com. Is the Spanish word of contest. De concursos. You can find all the contests in this website. And there is another website that is El Caballete. Is the name in Spanish for easel. El Caballete. And you can find a lot of contests. All the artists use these two websites, El Caballete and De Concursos.
Now, you're considered a fairly successful artist in Spain, from what I understand. Typically, what is it like for artists making a living over there? You've got your contest income. What other forms of income? Is it teaching and selling artwork through art galleries or selling direct? How do you sell your artwork?
In the past, I used to work with art galleries, but I have bad experience because some of them stole my money, and some of them even I didn't recover my works. So at the moment, I am selling my own work directly through my website or directly through my Instagram or Facebook. But nowadays it's not a good moment to sell art. So my other incomes are from teaching. I have an art academy. And I teach regularly from October to June.
And how many students do you typically have?
At this moment, I have 40 students in my studio, and I have another 50 online students because I have to close my other presential classes. Because I used to teach in a museum in Madrid, but now because of COVID is completely closed.
Right.
So about 100. My usual number of students per week is 100 students.
If somebody wanted to study online from the States, what would the website be?
My website is PabloRubén.com. Even in my website, I have some classes, some watercolor classes in Spanish and in English, done by me, spoken by me in my English, my fair English, but I think everybody can understand without problem.
Yeah, you're doing a great job. And you're also going to be teaching on Watercolor Live. What are you going to be teaching on your segment?
Yes, I'm going to be. I think in January is going to be my demonstration. I'm going to record it just tomorrow. Tomorrow I have chosen the location. And I'm going to paint a lovely park here next to my home in Madrid, with lovely reflection, with autumn atmosphere. I hope tomorrow it's not too cold because today we are about 2 degrees Celsius. So tomorrow it will be also cold, but anyway, I will make the demonstration tomorrow for Leaf Plein-Air event.
I believe you mentioned to me that you have met Antonio Lopez Garcia.
Oh, Yes. Once I had the honor to meet him because I was joining in a PleinAir contest and he was one of the juries. So once in my life I met Antonio Lopez Garcia. I think he's the most famous alive artist here at this moment.
The most famous living artist in Spain, but he's also
Yes.
one of the most famous in the world.
Yes,
and
maybe.
And what I think is fascinating about him is that he does very, very large plein air pieces in the streets.
Yes.
He probably isn't doing that any longer because he's getting older. But
Yes.
He would do 40 by 60 or very, very big pieces, and he would come back and work on them over and over again.
Yes, the only thing is that he's very, very slow. He can use the last most famous of his works was the portrait of the royal family, and he spent about 20 years in finishing. 20 years to finish one work. So in the plein air is the same. He needs a lot of session, many times to go again and to finish them. And the studio is very, very. No one of his works has finished it in maybe, I think, in 1 year. Most of his works are done in 8-10 years, more or less. He's very slow painter.
Yes, well, it shows. You know, when you look, the people who don't know can look up Antonio Lopez Garcia, but you look at the city scenes that he has done, and every detail of every window, close by and in the distance, and far away is every detail is there. So it makes sense that he's been very slow. I was going to ask you if you had seen him paint, but probably have not had that chance.
No, only in person, but not painting. Anyway, nowadays he teaches oil courses. Also, he is very old. I think he's about 85 or 86 years old. He continues teaching students all summers. He gives short courses, so he's still active.
Well, that's what keeps you young, is staying active and keeping painting.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yes, of course.
So you're also doing you're teaching at your academy. What do you find are the biggest problems that you have to help students overcome?
I think most of the students don't have patience. And most of the students they want the result in 2 weeks or immediately. I think it's because of the society or because of the times we are living now that everything goes very, very fast, and they want to learn 2 tricks and three tricks and paint a full work without passing all the steps and without learning more slowly. It's not easy to sometimes to teach this kind of way of painting, step by step, slowly, and learning the drawing first, then learning the color composition. I think this is the main problem I find when I teach.
Yeah, well, this is a world of instant gratification. Makes sense.
Yes, but I think it's because of the times of the 21st century. Everything is very, very, very fast.
Now it sounds like you're pretty busy all the time. Do you ever take any painting trips just for yourself to go and paint areas that you've wanted to paint?
Usually when I go on holidays with my family, I have a 6-year-old daughter. When I travel with my daughter, with my wife, I look different to the places, and sometimes I have time to make a small sketch just for fun, just to enjoy, and just to show my daughter the job or the art life. And these are the moments when I only paint for enjoying, not for job.
Right. Well, it makes sense. And what's the furthest you typically travel? Are you staying in Spain? Are you going throughout Europe?
I love the big cities, and I love the USA. We have been in San Francisco, in New York, in Boston, and also we used to travel to the north of Europe, Iceland, Finland, Norway, Belgium. Always the north. We prefer the north than the south. And of course, big cities. We love the busy cities with the life, and we when everything ends, we want to come back to New York and to Chicago, for example.
Oh, fabulous. So, in terms of process, you're a watercolorist, and I noticed that you approach things a lot differently than a lot of watercolorists do. Can you talk to me about your process? I know a lot of plein air painters are playing with the idea of using gouache and using watercolor because of convenience. Sometimes, for instance, when I want to travel on, or if I'm traveling on business, not a specific painting trip, I don't want to carry my backpack and my easel and my tripod and everything with me. So I have decided to learn more about watercolor and gouache so that I can keep something small in a briefcase or a travel bag. And so I'm very curious about learning more about all of this, but what is the process that you use? And are you using only transparent colors?
No, because I started with oils, and then I was many years painting in acrylics. I used to paint with a lot of pigment, with sometimes with thick pigment. And also at the end of the work, I add some wash touches. Even most of my colors have titanium white in their composition. For example, lavender, for example, wisteria, Naples yellow, Jean Brillant. I have some colors that are completely opaque to put some highlights and even to mix with another colors to work with thick pigment. For example, to paint my waves, when I paint seascapes, to make the waves, I prefer to use thick pigment to have soft edges. So I'm not purist, and I use not all the time, or not the whole work is completely transparent.
Well, your work is absolutely fabulous. It was fun watching you paint when you were on the program, and I'm excited to see what you're going to come up with and see what you're going to teach on Watercolor Live. What questions do you have for me before we wrap up?
I hadn't thought about this, but no. But I think Maybe what's your motivation to create this great community and to become so well known and to make the unity with all the artists? What's your main motivation?
Well, my main motivation is that I was a business guy, and when I turned about 40, I was kind of bored. I thought there had to be more to life than that, and I got introduced to painting, and painting changed my life. It changed how I looked at the world. It changed how I viewed everything, and it changed my heart, and it made me a much more, dare I say, gentle individual. Suddenly I saw the world through the eyes of an artist, and so I think that, for me, it's about helping other people discover that. I was one of those people who believed that I couldn't do art because I believed that natural talent was required. I didn't understand at the time it was a process. And so I was very discouraged and I was very intimidated. And by learning to paint, I now am driven to help other people learn to paint. And of course, because I have a business background, I've been able to put that together in terms of creating things that other people will enjoy, that will help them learn, help their process, help them understand the process, giving them instruction and so on. And so it's been a fabulous journey so far. And so my goal is to teach 1 million people to paint. I figured I could help change the world if we got a million people painting. And of course, now with coronavirus and having a daily program on Facebook, one at 12 and then one at 3, teaching people to paint, it is growing, and we have a worldwide audience, and it's really, really gratifying to hear about or see people who are picking up a paintbrush for the first time, getting the confidence that they can do it, or someone who says, I was a painter in high school or college, but then I gave it up, and now 20 or 30 or 40 years later, I'm picking up a brush because you guys inspired me. I think that makes it all worthwhile.
It's amazing. It's very generous from your part. It's amazing.
It's been fun, and of course, one of the best parts is meeting people like you and being able to highlight people like you. It's we're becoming very much a world of artists because of social media, Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and everything else, and we're able to really learn and see artists everywhere and become one. And so it's nice to be able to see these artists actually communicate with one another on the chat rooms and to just get to know each other. It's been fabulous.
Yes. I agree completely with you. Yes.
So do you have do you have a sense of, are there plein air events going on throughout Europe like there are in Spain? I know of a couple. I know of a big one in Ireland, which is a week-long or 10-day long event. And I hear that there's something going on in England and something going on in France, but I don't know much about it. Are you aware of any of the things that are happening in Europe outside of Spain?
I think I have understood. I will join next year in the International Master Watercolor event in UK. It's in a city next to Birmingham. And then I used to join every year in Fabriano in Italy in a very big event it's a city in the north of Italy where everybody paints together, everybody shares their knowledge. Also in France, I used to join every year in the biggest plein air contest of France, in the south of France. And I think next year, because last year I won the first prize, I will be one of the juries of this event. So I think these are the three most important contests or events in Europe now. One in the UK and another one in France, and Fabriano is very, very well known because Fabriano is, I think, all the past years there were about 800 artists. It was amazing to see artists from all over the world, from Asia, from Japan, from Africa, from everywhere, all together in one city, in a small city of Italy.
Yeah, that's very exciting, and I think for what a lot of people don't understand is that there's essentially Fabriano is the name of a town, but it's also the location of the paper company that has been around for 600 years.
Yes,
a lot of handmade paper and so on, but the Fabriano event is really not necessarily it's supported by, but it's not done by the company, but it's done by someone, I think, tied to the company who puts it together and then gets all these artists together in Fabriano, Italy. My intention is to come to the event. I've been invited. I don't know what year that's going to be. It's going to depend, of course, on the virus.
Yes, Fabriano is only to meet each other. There are no contests. There are no. I think it's supported by the artist because every artist has to pay a fee to join. So I think that the artist supports the event.
Well, it's quite an honor that you would win that prize because you're up against the best watercolorists in the world, and so that's pretty fabulous. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do with Watercolor Live is to bring the world together. We already have, at the time of this recording, we already have about 800 people signed up, and we'll probably end up with a lot more than that since it's not till late January. And we already have probably 20 or 30 countries signed up, including teachers from all over the world, like yourself and people in other parts of the world. So this is an exciting thing, and I like the idea of bringing the watercolor community together virtually online. There are people who would never be able to make the trip to Italy for this event, and so this is a nice way to make it affordable for people and to be able to come and watch at home. When we did PleinAir Live and we did Realism Live, we had people sitting up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning watching and because they wanted to see it live instead of watching the recording. So it was exciting.
Yes, I think it's an amazing project. I think it has never done before in this way. Because all the artists participating, I think they are top masters. I know many of them. Even I have friendship, for example, with Joseph Goodwitz. I think it's going to be very, very, very top and very, very interesting for everybody.
Well, it was difficult to get all these big names to participate, and though I hope we'll be able to do it again, I can't guarantee that. We don't know what life is going to bring us next year or the future, but it is wonderful to know that this one time that somebody could, tune in on their computer and see literally the very, very best in the world. And so that's and of course you're part of that. And as the winner of the Fabriano Prize, that's huge. I mean, you are one of the best in the world.
Thank you very much. It's a big honor to me to have been selected. and to be in the event is very, very important. I'm very proud to be. Thank you very much to you for the opportunity and to make it possible.
Yes, well, I'm excited about it. And Pablo, one day you're going to get a knock on your door. I'll probably give you a little bit notice, but I'm going to come to Spain now that the kids are in college. I'll just come and spend, get an Airbnb somewhere for 2 or 3 weeks and go paint around Spain. So maybe we'll paint together one day.
Of course, whenever you want, I'm here, ready to welcome you, and we can join together in any plein contest, and you can see the Spanish, the typical Spanish artists and the way of living of Spain.
Yes, I'd like to see that very much. Well, thank you for being on today. Would you tell everyone again what your website is?
Yes, it's PabloRubén.com. It's very easy. It's just my name, PabloRubén.com.
Okay, terrific. Well, Pablo, thank you for being on the PleinAir Podcast.
Thanks to you, Eric, always.
Well, thanks again to Pablo Rubén. You need to visit his website. He truly is an international superstar, and you want to get to know a little bit of his work. All right. Now, are you ready for some marketing ideas?
This is the Marketing Minute with Eric Rhoads, author of the #1 Amazon bestseller, Make More Money Selling Your Art, Proven Techniques to Turn Your Passion into Profit.
All right. Thanks, Jim, for that. In the Marketing Minute, I answer your art marketing questions, or at least I try. Sometimes I may fail. I don't know. Email your questions to me, eric@artmarketing.com. Here's a question from Nick Sorensen in New York, New York. Nick says, I have a website, but how do I make it more visible? I'm assuming, Nick, what you mean is by visible, how do you get more people to visit it? I'm guessing that's the thing. You know, these days a website is kind of like having your name in the phone book. If you remember the scene from The Jerk, the Steve Martin movie, it was like all excited because his name was in the phone book. And the reality is back in, if any of you remember phone books, back in the day, I guess they still make them. Back in the day, the idea of having your name in the phone book wasn't really a very big deal. Now, if you had your name as a business in the yellow pages and you were, you're a dentist and people looking up dentist, well, then you're going to be one of 200 or 300 or 500 or 1,000 in there, depending on your city. So having your name in a phone book isn't all that great. And so a website is just kind of like having your name in a phone book. So now what do? Well, everybody's got a listing. Everybody's got a website. So if you want to be found, you have to find ways to invite people to visit your website. And that's done through your various marketing efforts. I talk a lot about that stuff in my books, my courses, my videos, etc. And I think I think most of us want buyers there. We don't want tire kickers. If we're selling workshops, then we want other artists. And so you want to have an appropriate way to invite people. Now, ads are a great way to invite people because ads, basically, you can put a call to action in an ad. You can show your work and you can say something. A call to action on your ads is important. You want people to do something. If you don't tell them to do something, they won't do it, surprisingly. So you're just assuming they're going to visit. So you want to say something like, visit ericrhoads.com, which you can do, by the way. It's I got a lot of cool stuff there. But you can say visit ericrhoads.com to see the 10 best paintings I've ever done. Or you can have what we call a lead magnet, which is a free something, like a free PDF. You could do like a visit my website to get my free book on the 50 best paintings I've ever done. And that can be an ebook or something you can put together, and it gives people a reason to go. And of course you want them there and you want them looking around. And the reason you want to do a lead magnet is that advertising is something that everybody needs to do, but you want to have an opportunity to talk to them more frequently. I like the idea of having my own medium, right? So I have my own medium. I have my own magazines. I have newsletters and things like that, but you can have your own newsletter too. That way you have a frequent way to talk to them above and beyond your advertising, because once you've got their email address, if they give you permission, then you can email them. And of course, that's very important. You got to have their permission. And so, offering something up in your ads, you want to get people to come to your site and you want to remind them of yourself frequently. And by having their emails, you can do that. So that's a great way. You can also drive people through blogs and doing interviews on podcasts or local media and other things. And always, you want your website to be real easy. And if you have a difficult name, it makes it tougher. Now, my name isn't really a difficult name, but everybody spells it differently. Some people would say Rhodes. There's no E in my name. And some people would say Roads. And so, and my website is Rho, Eric. And of course, there's different ways to spell Eric, so I probably should have a different website name for mine, but you want something that gives you something easy to access and remember. And if your name is a difficult name or hard to spell, or it pronounces differently than it spells, then you might want to think about an easy entry, something that's easy to remember. In my case, it's EricRhoads with no E, .com. And that's probably something I should work on. They always say the plumber has the leaky faucet. Okay. Anyway, here's a question from Bruce Hunt in Phoenix, Arizona, who asks, is it enough to use my own camera to photograph my paintings, or should I pay someone to do it? And if so, how do I find such a service? I think I want to answer that in a couple of ways for you, Bruce. First off, if you're a professional artist, you have to act like a professional. And professionals do things differently. And one of the things that they do is they have great photographs of their paintings. Great, high-resolution photographs, well-lit, no glare, and you want to have those for a lot of reasons. I judge a lot of contests. I was judging the Art Renewal Center contest recently, and we get to click on images so we can look at them in more depth. And this one, the photograph of one of the paintings that I was looking at, was so out of focus, I really didn't get a good feel for it. And it's just like, okay, if the artist can't really take the trouble to do a good painting, do they really deserve an award? Now, I try not to allow that to influence me, but if it's hard to see, or if it doesn't look good, or if it's got glare on it, and sometimes people put, send in images that have glare on them, it just isn't flattering to your image. Also, we all think that we are experts in Photoshop and so on, but we all have different monitors, and our monitors are calibrated differently. And when this happens to us, an artist will create an ad, or they'll send in an image, and the image doesn't look good to our art director because his monitor is calibrated. And so everybody calibrates their monitors to look good to them, but they're not doing it the proper way. And as a result, you're sending in a dark photo when you think it's a light photo or something like that. So having a pro is good, or having a pro teach you. LillittleArtVideo.com has there's a video on there on how to photograph paintings. It's an old one, but it's still very valid. The key to photographing things. Now, I photograph my own, and it's only because I just don't want to have to deal with having to take them out. But sometimes I'm getting to the point where I'm so busy, I probably will just have somebody come and pick them up and do them in batches. The pros, the people who do things like prints and G-clays and things like that, they do it one of two ways. They'll use photographs, or they'll use flatbed scanners. And some of these companies there's a company here in Austin that has a flatbed scanner that's about it'll do a 60-inch painting, and they lay them down. That way you're not getting any kind of glare or anything like that. And of course you have to be dry. And the key to paintings, the photographing of paintings is different. A lot of people will photograph them before they varnish them, because varnish adds glare. If you're photographing a painting properly, you're using 2 lights from the sides, and they both have polarizing filters on them. And then you have a camera on a tripod that has a polarizing filter. And then you take what's called bracketed shots, which means you're trying lots of different lighting. you want to have the aperture closed down as much as possible because that makes things sharper. And you've got to make sure that you're using, if you even touch the camera and you're not using a shutter release, then what's happening is that you're actually creating movement in the camera, and you get a little light movement in there, and it'll show up. So there's a lot of things that you can do. What I would consider doing is going to a pro. If that doesn't work, hire a pro, give them a couple $100 for a couple hours of their time, and say, teach me how to do this. Teach me how to set it up and do it properly. Or you can, for probably a few bucks, you can get a video on that. But I think, galleries need excellent photos. And someday when you become famous, you're going to wish you had photos of everything and be able to put them in a book. I have hundreds of photos of paintings that I've done over the years, and some of them were done with crummy cameras and iPhones. And iPhones are pretty good cameras these days, especially the new iPhone 12, which has a bigger sensor. But that sensor is still small compared to my professional. I use Sony cameras, and they have a 1-inch sensor where the iPhone is probably like 1/8 of an inch or something. And so, you get a lot more quality in that. So I think professional photography is really important. So check that out. And yes, I think it's important. How do you find it? How do you find anything anymore? You Google it, right? Okay, well, I think that probably answers those questions.
This has been the Marketing Minute with Eric Rhoads. You can learn more at artmarketing.com.
Well, a reminder to check out the PleinAir Convention at pleinairconvention.com, and also to check out the worldwide event in January. It's called Watercolor Live, and you don't want to miss it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Watercolorlive.com. And, of course, enter the PleinAir Salon at pleinairsalon.com. If you've not seen my blog where I talk about philosophy and art and life and other things, check it out. It's called Sunday Coffee. We are up to well in advance of 250,000 people reading it. It's just pretty cool. Anyway, you find it at coffeewitheric.com, and then you can subscribe. It's free, and then it'll just show up in your mailbox every Sunday morning. I do it every Sunday morning. Once in a while, I'll skip one and I'll repeat one, but it's pretty rare. Also, since COVID, I've been on live daily on Facebook and YouTube at 12 noon Eastern Time and 3 p.m. Eastern Time. At 12 noon, I'm interviewing artists, and usually we're doing painting demos together. And at 3 p.m., I'm doing samples of the many hundreds of art instruction videos that we've produced here. And we do those 7 days a week. My 12 noons are 5 days a week now. I did 7 months in a row of 7 days a week, and I kind of burned out. So I'm taking weekends off now. Anyway, you can check that out. And also, I would encourage you to go to Instagram and Facebook and follow me. My name is Eric Rhoads, R-H-O-A-D-S, and there's no E in there. All right? Well, this is fun. We'll do it again sometime, like next week.
This has been the PleinAir Podcast with PleinAir Magazine's Eric Rhoads. You can help spread the word about plein air painting by sharing this podcast with your friends. And you can leave a review or subscribe on iTunes so it comes to you every week. And you can even reach Eric by email, eric@pleinairmagazine.com. Be sure to pick up our free ebook, 240 plein air painting tips by some of America's top painters. It's free at pleinairtips.com. Tune in next week for more great interviews. Thanks for listening.